Today on UTR, we're reading Rusteen Honordoost's wonderful offbeat comedy pilot, Ramona. So don't move a muscle.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unproduced Table Read here on the Popcorn Talk Network. As I mentioned at the top, we're reading a wonderful, kind of edgy, but also really sweet comedy pilot called Ramona that I'm so excited to get into. But before we do that, guys, this is a show, if you're tuning in for the first time, where we read Hollywood's hottest unproduced pilots and features. And we have Rusteen Honardoost here in studio today. Thanks for being here. He is the writer of today's script, and I just think it's a really interesting, kind of tonally specific script. And I chose it because I love the voice that you've kind of communicated in the script. I think that's sort of the secret sauce. So
Yeah.
It's good. We'll get more into kind of a Q&A later in the show. But until we do that, guys, I would love for my cast to introduce themselves and who they'll be playing in today's read.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike Kalinowski. Today I'm reading Jeremy.
Hey, I'm Haley O'Connor and I am reading Ramona.
Hey guys, I'm Adrienne Snow. I'm reading Adriana and Nima's friend.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Guy, and today I'll be reading for Guarov and the Bro.
What's up, everybody? I'm Timothy Michael. You can find me everywhere at I am Timothy Mike. Today I'm reading Guy, Boss, Stoner Hippie Barista, Scarf, Steve, and this music is giving me all the feels.
Yeah, me too. I'm Roxy Stryer. You can find me at Roxy Stryer, and I'll be reading for Commissioner, Nima, French Barista, Cat-Lady Barista, Glasses, and Drunk Lady.
And I think I forgot to introduce myself, guys. But my name is Jeff Graham. If you want to find me online, you can do so, Jeffrey C. Graham. Feel free to pitch me a script there. Some of you guys have done that, which is great. Rusteen, we're so happy to have you here in studio today.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. I love this script. I read it actually kind of a while ago because I found it, I think, on the Amazon. Had you uploaded it to their pilot competition?
I did.
Yeah. So I think I read a bit of a different draft. But it's, again, such a tonally specific pilot, and the voice just rings so true to me. One thing I like to do is before we dive into our reads, I like having the writers kind of give us a 30-second kind of intro into the world we'll be entering today.
Okay.
Kind of talk about Ramona, maybe some of your objectives with the script, and just sort of prep our audience, if you would.
Yeah, Ramona's a half-hour comedy about a sarcastic and confident young woman who uses a wheelchair. It's about her trying to date and get a job in a world that kind of pushes people aside when you don't already have problems in your life. So by going into this is something that I'd never seen before on television. It was kind of introduced to me by my girlfriend, and once I got it into my head, I could never get it out. And it just became something that this is like the edgy, dark comedy that I've always wanted to see on television. So I just decided to do it.
I feel the same way. So I guess with that, we should go ahead and get into it, guys. And for those listening who can sense a bit of a frog in my throat, I apologize. But
It's sultry.
that's what, my fiance says I sound like a sexy sorority girl. So maybe I'll just keep it.
We sound very similar at this point.
That's true, actually. I've always thought, Roxy sounds the same. Kind of like a sexy sorority girl as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, guys, let's just get into the script. This is Ramona, written by Rusteen Honardoost, and here we go. Interior bedroom night. An empty bed in a dark room. It is lit by a tiny desk lamp on the nightstand. A guy is carrying a girl to the bed. He's not very strong, and he struggles to hold on to her. He loses his grip, drops her on the bed, and then falls on top of her. The girl is Ramona, a confident 29-year-old woman. Even though Guy is on top, she's the one leading him in bed. But Ramona's used to it. He kisses her feet.
Thanks for trying, but that's not doing anything for me.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Forget it. Come here.
He kisses her neck. She's really into it. He repositions himself, ready to have sex, but he doesn't know what to do with her legs.
No, you have to hold me like this.
That works. They start doing it, but she needs something more.
Lick my ear.
What?
Stop asking questions.
She pulls him close, and he licks her ear. Later that night, he rolls off her, and they lay there, catching their breath.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Do you want me to help?
No, I've got it.
Ramona sits up and reaches for her wheelchair. She picks up her legs and throws them over the side of the bed, scoots herself closer and closer to the edge, and she hoists herself into the chair and carefully pulls her legs into position. Now, comfortably in her wheelchair, she rolls into the bathroom. The guy, naked and alone in bed, looks around and notices the bare walls and pile of books in the corner. On the nightstand, he picks up a photo of a younger Ramona, able-bodied and laughing with friends. Ramona comes back from the bathroom.
Who's this pretty little lady?
She swipes the photo away from him.
Look, this was fun, but I think you should get out of here before it gets too late.
Are you serious?
What do you want me to say? You really tired me out. Nothing will ever compare. Now let me go to sleep. I've got work in the morning. What's so funny?
I just thought I'd be the one making up excuses to get out of here.
Then you're not the only one who's disappointed.
He puts his clothes on, refusing to look at her. He slams the door behind him. Ramona slowly begins the process of getting back into bed. Exterior San Jose, California day. A sunny day over the urban sprawl of San Jose, California. We end up outside of the San Jose courthouse. Interior San Jose courthouse day. In the county clerk's office, a marriage commissioner is presiding over the wedding vows between Gaurav, 30s, pudgy Indian guy, and Adriana, late 20s, dressed all in black like a witch.
And do you, Gaurav, take Adriana to be your lawfully wedded wife?
I do.
Then by the power vested in me by the state of California, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss the bride.
They kiss, and it's neither passionate nor loving. Its tone is matched by Ramona's slow, passive-aggressive clapping. She's the only wedding guest. Interior in-and-out day. Ramona, Adriana, and Gaurav are eating, still dressed in their wedding clothes. Ramona stares daggers at Adriana.
You know, when I pictured my wedding day, I never thought it looked like this. This is way better.
She notices Ramona's sour expression.
What curled up your butt?
That's how we had a deal. Neither of us would get married until all our stupid friends got divorced first.
Well, we made a lot of promises. Remember that time we said we were going to follow Prince on his world tour?
And now he's dead. And you're making the same mistake all over again.
I didn't think a green card wedding counts. But if you want to let my best app developer get deported, go ahead. I mean, I don't know how we'll pay rent. We'll probably have to move back in with our parents.
Very funny.
This is a sacrifice I'm making for both of us, as part of growing up or whatever.
Sacrifices are supposed to raise the dead and kill your enemies, but all we get is this guy.
Gaurav is watching cute cat videos on his phone, totally oblivious.
I'm not trying to force you to grow up, Ramona. God knows you fought me kicking and screaming this far.
I haven't kicked anyone in years.
You know what I mean. Don't get mad at me for getting tired of one-night stands. I'm not as good at them as you are.
You think you know me so well, don't you?
Well, you're not as complicated as you think you are. Just a big, scaredy cat who's afraid of commitment.
She jokingly pinches Ramona's cheek. Ramona slaps her hand away, and Gaurav takes a big gulp of his milkshake.
Oh, brain freeze.
Drink this, stupid. The things we do for love, right?
Adriana laughs, and Ramona rolls her eyes. Interior bedroom night. Ramona looks at herself in the mirror, comparing her body to the way she looks in the old photo. Happy, carefree, and hopeful. We can hear Adriana and Gaurav laughing through the door. Interior, Ramona and Adriana's apartment continuous. Adriana and Gaurav are at the table with beer and flashcards like they're studying for a high school exam.
Okay, true or false? My dimple is actually a scar from a childhood accident.
False.
Nope, that was true. I've always been a bit of a klutz.
Oh, why am I not surprised?
They both laugh. Ramona enters.
What's going on in here?
Oh, we're just studying up on our lives, you know, in case we get grilled by the feds or something.
We just got to high school history.
Do they have high school in India?
We do, but it's segregated by caste, not by freaks and geeks.
Interesting. How do you two feel about a study break then? The reviews for that new Superman movie are so bad, I kind of want to see it now.
You down to stare at some dudes in their underwear?
Tempting, but we have to finish. We have this beer to finish.
Good point. Sorry, Ramona. I think we're going to stay in tonight.
More handicap seating for me then.
Ramona leaves, and the couple gets back to studying their flashcards. Adriana laughs at something Gaurav says. Interior apartment morning. Ramona watches Gaurav cook up an extraordinary breakfast.
I didn't realize Indians make pancakes for breakfast too.
Have you seen naan bread? It's a pancake you can eat all day.
Adriana enters, visibly hungover. She takes a seat.
Did I die last night? I feel like I died and they botched the resurrection. What are those pancakes?
Gaurav brings her the plate of beautiful food.
Oh, thank God.
She digs in, ravenously eating up everything on her plate. Ramona watches them from a distance.
You want some?
No thanks. I don't want to be a third wheel. I've already got 4.
Interior call center day. Ramona is lost amidst a sea of identical cubicles.
I can't do that without the credit card you used to open the account.
She's surrounded on all sides by call center drones wearing matching headsets and fake smiles. They are unreasonably excited about taking customer service calls for an anonymous corporation. But not Ramona. She's on a frustrating phone call with an angry caller. Ramona's boss walks over and observes her.
That sounds like a personal problem. What do you want me to do about it?
More yelling, she blows a bubble.
Okay, ma'am. I'm going to have to put you on hold until you calm down.
She puts the phone down and notices her boss.
I love putting callers in timeout. They get so mad.
Ramona's joke falls flat. He shakes his head and walks away. She eyes the clock hanging overhead, and it's not even noon yet. Interior apartment day. Ramona flips through the mail until she finds a fancy embroidered envelope from Nima Chowdhury. Adriana watches her tear it open.
How's work?
Worse than yesterday. Probably not as bad as tomorrow, though.
You could quit like a normal person, and then you could do something you actually like.
But then I'd have nothing to complain about. Besides, I somehow tricked those bozos into paying me $20 an hour. I'm not giving that up anytime soon.
Well, that's very mature of you, Ramona.
Oh, shit.
What's wrong?
Nima invited us to her welcome back party.
And what are we welcoming her back from exactly?
Nima and Vijay Chowdhury cordially invite you to welcome them back from their magical honeymoon in the sacred cities of India. And now we'd like to rub it in your face.
God, as if their parties weren't awful enough to begin with.
Remember that time she covered the TV with a blanket because she thought Murder, She Wrote was depressing?
Too bad married couples are expected to go to these things. Any chance I can convince you to come along for emotional support?
That's tempting, but I hate all of Nima's friends. They look down on me, literally and figuratively. But I guess I can make an appearance just to see what all the fuss is about.
Oh, yes! I think a fancy-ass party like this is exactly what we need.
And you're the DD.
Oh.
Interior bedroom montage. Ramona is trying on a variety of outfits for Nima's party. It's a classic rom-com montage, but it's more complicated when you're in a wheelchair. Pants have to be put on very slowly, one leg at a time. Dresses can be pulled over her head, but it's easier to just throw clothes on top rather than put them on completely. The montage ends with Ramona, panting and sweaty, trying to get out of a leather jumpsuit. Her arms flail in the air, and she curses until Adriana runs in to free her.
How the hell did you get into this thing?
Interior Nima's house night. Ramona, Adriana, and Gaurav enter Nima's very adult party. There's classical music playing, fancy finger food, and everyone is drinking wine from pristine glasses.
Is this what we're doing now? Finger cheeses and Napa wine?
I bet these people have never even seen a mini hot dog. Ooh, they have sine qua non.
Did you just have a stroke?
They only make 400 of these a year, so shut up and drink it.
Tastes like sour grapes.
You would know. This is what we've been training for. We have to convince all these bozos we're a real couple, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna throw up.
Then that'll be the most expensive vomit you've ever had.
Gaurav pushes her chair through the crowd, but he keeps running over people's toes.
Oops, sorry. Oh, excuse me. Hit her next.
Gaurav gives her a thumbs up. Nima, the host, 30s, South Asian, Michelle Obama-level classy, is surrounded by her guests. Ramona runs into her.
Sorry, didn't see you there.
It's okay.
Nima straightens out her dress and hugs Adriana.
Adriana, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you too. Nima, I'd like to introduce you to my husband, Gaurav.
Gaurav waves hello awkwardly.
Oh, I didn't know you got married. Or engaged. Or even interested in men.
Oh, well, you can't predict love. I'm sure you understand.
Some things really are beyond understanding.
She looks down at Ramona.
Hi, Ramona. I'm so glad you could make it. I hope it wasn't too difficult getting in here.
Got a little banged up, but I'm in one piece.
Let me introduce you to everybody.
You don't have to do that.
Nima faces the group and puts a hand on Ramona's shoulder.
Everybody, this is Ramona, and she is the bravest person I know.
Everybody applauds. Ramona looks like she's about to die. Gaurav claps with them, but Adriana stops him right away. Nima's friend bends over with her hand on her knees to talk to Ramona as if she's a child.
You must be so strong. Can I ask what happened to you?
She clearly doesn't realize how invasive of a question that is.
I was on a roller coaster at the fair when it shot off the rails. We crashed into a tree. I was the only survivor.
Oh my gosh. That's so awful.
I got a pretty massive settlement, but the money can't stop the nightmares. They're always the same. My dead friends, the clowns, the funnel cake covered in their blood.
She takes a sip of her wine. Nima's friend is shocked, unaware that Ramona was, of course, bullshitting her. The group leaves Nima and the crowds around. The group leaves Nima and crowds around Ramona. Nima hates this.
Did you know in India they force poor women to be surrogates for the rich? I spent a day with them.
Ramona tries to get away from the crowd. One of the guests bumps into her wheelchair and spills the wine all over Nima's dress. The crowd gasps. I'm so sorry. The crowd circles around Nima. She's upset about her dress, but it's a small price to pay to be the center of attention again. She continues to play the part of benevolent host.
Oh, it's all right. I didn't like this dress that much anyway.
Ramona takes this as her opportunity to leave. She approaches the bar as Jeremy, 30s, getting older and hotter, but he doesn't realize it yet, pours himself a glass.
Pour me a glass, barkeep.
Sorry, but I'm not the bartender. Just pour this for myself.
That's too bad. I always had a thing for bartenders.
Is it too late to change my answer?
Sorry, buddy, but you'd make a pretty terrible bartender.
She points to all the wine he spilt on the table.
This is nothing compared to the little number you pulled over there.
Oh, you saw that? Well, not my finest moment, I'll admit.
They both share an awkward laugh.
So, are you gonna pour me some booze or what?
He pours her a drink.
Can I ask you a question?
Ramona steels herself for another invasive question about her wheelchair.
Only one. Make it count. And yes, I can drive a car all by myself.
Is this party terrible, or am I missing something?
Her face lights up.
It is terrible. You know they're only doing this so they could brag about their stupid honeymoon.
It's like, we get it. You do yoga. So does everyone else.
What's yoga?
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Oh my God, you must be the most gullible man in the world. How many times have you had your identity stolen? Tell the truth now.
Jeremy feels awkward, but her smile makes it okay.
You want to get out of here? Maybe go see a real bartender?
Ramona looks for Adriana and finds her mingling with Gaurav. They fit into the party better than Ramona ever could.
Let's do it.
Interior bedroom night. Jeremy throws Ramona onto the bed. She bounces on the mattress, laughing. He jumps on top of her and they make out. Interior bedroom morning. The next day, Ramona wakes up. Jeremy is asleep in the bed next to her. She's surprised. Guys don't usually spend the night. He starts to wake up and she pretends to still be asleep, but wakes up with him.
Hey, you spend the night.
Sorry, I totally passed out. I don't usually drink that much.
A quiet, awkward moment.
So what do we do now? Am I supposed to make you eggs, or do you make me eggs, or am I wrong about the whole egg thing?
No, you're on the right track, but I should get going. Those taxes aren't going to file themselves.
Wow, that's the lamest excuse I've ever heard, and I've heard some doozies.
It's not an excuse. I'm a tax accountant.
I thought my job sucked. But I bet you get a lot of attention from the ladies around tax day.
Hey, don't hate the player, hate the game.
He starts putting on his clothes. Ramona wants to say something to him, but can't find the words. He's about to leave when...
Wait.
He turns around.
Do you, want to, I don't know, hang out sometime?
Yeah, of course. I'll hit you up later.
Cool.
He leaves, and Ramona falls back onto her pillow, smiling. Interior apartment continuous. Jeremy's about to leave when Adriana slams the door shut.
So you like Ramona, huh?
Yeah, I guess I do.
She gets uncomfortably close.
You're not another one of those creepy chair chasers, are you?
A chair chaser? No way.
So you like her?
I think so. But don't tell her that. I don't think that kind of thing is really her style.
Very perceptive. You can leave now. But remember this. We're watching you.
We?
Gaurav is standing behind him, holding a large knife.
I told you I didn't want to cut the onion.
Jesus, Gaurav, I told you to be menacing.
Interior call center day. Back in the endless sea of cubicles, Ramona is on the phone with another angry caller.
I'm sorry, sir, but you have to keep paying us in order to keep your account online.
Ramona's boss approaches from behind and watches her.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Sir, I'm gonna put you on hold.
She sighs. Her boss coughs loudly, startling her.
What the hell was that?
This guy's mad he can't keep using his account after he canceled his membership, and he's being a real dick about it.
It's not your job to tell people why they're wrong. Your job is to get their money and make sure they never want to call us again. Got it?
Yep, I got it.
She picks up the phone with an evil look in her eye.
You're right, sir. I'll help you solve this problem right away.
Cut to interior dark ramen restaurant night. Jeremy and Ramona look over the menu at a hipster restaurant filled with flannel shirts and ill-advised beards. It's dark and crowded, and their table is awkwardly placed for her chair.
Sorry, it said online this place is wheelchair accessible.
It's okay, I've dealt with worse.
An awkward silence as they sip their drinks.
So, what do you do for money?
By night, I trick stupid boys into buying me dinner. But by day, I work in a call center.
What's that like?
Most of the guys are really boring.
I meant the call center.
Well, today I took a nap in my cube, stole some snacks from the break room, then I told a caller to kill himself.
Oh, hold up.
Mondays, right?
Oh, hold up there, Garfield. You told someone to kill themselves?
Well, I guess I should have said I used to work in a call center. they finally fired my ass after that one, so you're definitely picking up the bill tonight because I'm broke.
That's where the night job comes in handy, huh?
Yep.
I'm sure it was worth it. You're too cool to be working in a call center anyways.
Why is it so easy to talk to you?
That's because we already got sex out of the way, so now we can just be ourselves.
That doesn't guarantee you're getting laid tonight, though.
Oh, really?
You could still screw this up.
She takes a drink and they share intense eye contact. Exterior disabled bathroom later. We can hear Jeremy and Ramona through the door.
You're crazy. Aren't you ever afraid we're getting caught?
What's anyone gonna say? I can take as long in here as I want.
They exit the bathroom and Jeremy tucks in his shirt.
Now that that's taken care of.
We should get out of here. That ramen was hella good and I don't want us to get banned.
I thought you said it was okay.
Sorry, I lied.
Jesus.
They hustle out of the restaurant. Interior apartment morning. Ramona, Jeremy, Adriana, and Gaurav are coupled up, eating breakfast in different parts of the room. Ramona's flipping through job ads on Craigslist, but Jeremy wants her attention.
Did you know that Schmoes is retiring next month? Now, I know everyone hates SeaWorld now, but we have to go. It's like the Emancipation Proclamation, but for whales.
He's not retiring. They canned him because he's bad for business. Besides, too broke to go anywhere.
Stop worrying so much. You'll find a new job soon.
Adriana's ears perk up.
Excuse me? What's that all about? What?
I kind of got fired the other day.
Why didn't you tell me?
So you're sure you don't want to go?
I really can't think about that right now. I have to get a job ASAP.
Well, I have the day off, so I'll be home if you need me.
Jeremy grabs his things and leaves. Adriana is infuriated by Ramona's nonchalance.
Ramona. What the hell? You got fired and didn't tell me?
Yeah, well, you've been so busy with Gaurav.
Don't give me that. If you don't have a job, then how are we going to pay rent?
They both slowly look over at Gaurav.
Don't you dare.
Smash cut to interior apartment later. They carry boxes of Gaurav's stuff into the house.
Welcome home.
Ramona opens a box and pulls out a ratty old stuffed animal.
Please tell me you stole this from a baby.
No, those are mine.
There's like 100 stuffed animals in here. You don't sleep with these, do you?
Good luck.
Adriana looks into the eyes of one of his teddy bears.
Well, it's not like you can throw them away. They're adorable.
Adriana looks over to Gaurav, and they both smile. It's more intimate than anything we've actually seen between them before.
You two better not be falling in love right now.
The couple quickly look away from each other, blushing.
Don't be
No
stupid.
way. No.
Job hunting montage. Day. We're outside of the faux Parisian cafe, Chez Baguette.
I am so sorry, but Z manager only interviews in French.
Now we're outside the Drippy Hippie Cafe.
I could, hold on to your resume until she gets back. She's already been gone a couple of months. Shouldn't be much longer now.
Cats hiss and screech as Ramona exits the Kitty Cat Cafe.
Wait, one of the cats peed on your resume. Do you have another copy?
Ramona takes a deep breath and goes back inside. Exterior San Jose street day. Ramona makes her way down the street to the long 5-lane crosswalk, sweaty and miserable. The crosswalk timer is already halfway finished, and while everyone else hustles across, Ramona knows she won't make it in time. She watches everyone cross the street while she waits to get to the next light. Exterior library day. Ramona approaches the large and imposing public library. Interior library continuous. The library is a bastion of peace and air conditioning. The bookshelves at the library have never looked more beautiful. She approaches the information desk, staffed by 2 nice old librarians, one with glasses and the other with a scarf.
My goodness, you must be dying out there. Would you like some water?
Thanks, but I was actually wondering if you're hiring.
We usually only take applications online.
But since you came all this way, I think we could take a look.
Really? Wow, that would be awesome.
She hands them her resume.
We'll be in touch.
Toodaloo.
They wave to her as she leaves. Interior Jeremy's car night. Jeremy is circling a parking lot outside of a movie
Oh,
theater.
there's a goddamn parking spot when you need one.
He's driving in circles, and Ramona stares out the window.
So, have you found a job yet? It feels like ages since we hung out.
It's fine. My butt melted into the chair the other day, but it might have paid off.
You got some leads then? Where at?
The library looks like my best bet.
The library. Don't hobos jerk off in there?
Don't be gross.
I'm just saying. Why not apply someplace that isn't covered in bodily fluids? Yes, a spot. Here we go.
Like all oblivious guys, he doesn't notice that he's offended her. Exterior movie theater later. Through the glass doors, we see Ramona and Jeremy leaving the theater. He tries to open the door for her, but she refuses his help and opens the door for herself. They wait outside the theater in uncomfortable silence.
Movie was pretty bad, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong?
I'm not mad at you.
Then what's going on?
You were being really shitty to me.
When?
In the car.
You mean the library thing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't go to libraries. Does that make me a bad person?
It's hard enough to find a job that works for me. I don't need you making me feel like crap about taking whatever I can get.
So you are mad at me.
Whatever.
Look, I'm sorry. I didn't know you cared so much about libraries. Now I do. I'll never make the mistake again.
Good.
A long, awkward silence.
So, what do you want to do now?
Smash cut to interior Jeremy's car later. Jeremy's driving with a big goofy smile as Ramona gives him a hand job. She doesn't care that it's dangerous, she just wants him to shut up. Interior bedroom later. Jeremy watches Ramona get undressed. She struggles with the buttons on her dress and he steps over to help her, but she swats his hand away.
I've got it.
Okay.
He takes a seat on the bed, flips around on his phone.
You've got to check this out. It is a Rottweiler Corgi mix riding a snowboard. It is the silliest thing I've ever seen.
I told you I just want to go to sleep.
She continues to fumble with her dress, and Jeremy can't bear to watch her struggle anymore.
Let me help you.
No.
Stop being so difficult.
Don't touch me.
Would it be easier if I help you?
No, it fucking wouldn't be easier if you fucking helped me.
She pushes him away.
If you can't stop yourself, then wait outside until I'm done.
Are you serious?
Get out.
Jeremy slams the door behind him. He waits on the other side. Ramona takes off her dress and approaches the door. She considers opening it, but she doesn't.
Jeremy, I think you should go home. I need to get some sleep.
Well, I'm not going anywhere until you tell me that to my face.
Now they're in a game of chicken. So who's going to crack first? Ramona holds her breath so she doesn't make a sound.
I'm serious. I'll wait. I just thought we had fun tonight. Just open the door already. Fine, have it your way. I'm done fighting with you.
He storms off, and Ramona gets in bed alone. Fade out. Interior apartment morning. Ramona is lying face down on her bed with a pillow over her head. There's a knock at the door.
Can I come in?
No.
You sure?
Fine.
Adriana sits on the bed.
You and Jeremy got in a fight, huh?
I've been dressing myself for 29 years, and I've been doing a pretty damn good job at it, too. I don't need some guy to be my nurse.
Well, maybe he just wants to be more than just some guy.
Is that my fault? Because I did not sign up for this.
Oh, don't you think you're being a little melodramatic right now?
You'll eat those words when you're crying at my funeral.
Ramona's phone rings, and it's an unknown number.
Aren't you going to answer it?
Ramona begrudgingly picks up the phone.
Hello? Yeah, that's me. Oh, wow. Yeah, today works. Okay, thanks.
She hangs up. Adriana watches her, waiting to hear the news.
It was the library. I got an interview.
Adriana cheers and gives her a hug.
Yes, I'm so happy for you.
God, you sound like my mother.
Oh, I'm 20 years of cigarettes and vodka away from that. So when's the interview?
In a couple hours.
Then you better get your lazy ass out of bed and get changed. Gorov will make you breakfast.
Adriana ruffles Ramona's hair and leaves the room.
Gorov, I need waffles ASAP!
Exterior library day. Ramona approaches the library and her phone buzzes. It's a text from Jeremy. We need to talk. Can I see you soon? Ramona replies, busy, period, TTYL, period. She turns her phone off and goes inside. Interior library day. Ramona's being interviewed by the two old librarians.
Ramona, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Working at a library has always been kind of a dream of mine.
Passion for the work is hard to find these days. Did you spend a lot of time at the library?
Well, my parents used to bring me here a lot when I was in high school. They always said it was the only place in town you couldn't get in trouble, but I made sure to prove them wrong.
Ramona laughs, but the librarians don't.
But after I dropped out of school, I came back here a lot. It was the only place you didn't have to pay money to stay in.
Did you drop out of college because of your condition?
My condition?
She means your chair, dear.
No, it wasn't because of that.
So why are you in a wheelchair?
If it's all right, I'd really prefer not to talk about that right
There's
now.
no need to feel uncomfortable. We understand what it's like to be in your position.
You do.
This interview is just a formality. We're always looking out for people like you.
People like me.
Diversity is very important to us. And I don't just mean the black.
We've been pioneering the integration of the differently abled for decades now.
They motion to the Library Diversity Award photos hanging on the wall. The two librarians stand amidst a group of disabled people of all types. Everything from crutches and wheelchairs to extra limbs and missing limbs. It's quite garish, but these old ladies are just so proud it's almost okay.
Oh my God.
Not that we take credit for it. Our employees do all the hard work.
We just gave them the opportunity to prove themselves.
I need to get out of here.
What's wrong, Ramona? We thought you'd be excited to join us.
No thanks, Mrs. Schindler, but keep me off your GIMP list.
She storms out, leaving the two old librarians in shock. Interior apartment day. Adriana is reading on the couch, sitting real close to Gaurav. Ramona enters and slams the door behind her.
How'd your interview go?
Ramona sits there for a moment, then starts laughing hysterically. Gaurav and Adriana share a confused look.
Is that good or bad?
It was less of a job interview and more of an invitation to be part of their cripple museum.
So I assume that means you didn't take the job?
You know me too well, Adriana.
Well, have you talked to Jeremy yet?
What do you think? Of course not.
Oh, poor guy's probably been sitting next to his phone all day waiting for you to call.
Who calls anymore?
Ramona turns on her iPhone and the display reads 20 new voice messages.
Apparently he does.
She tosses the phone onto her lap and puts her head in her hands.
You want to talk about it?
Ramona shakes her head, no.
Do you want to get a drink?
Ramona shakes her head, yes. Exterior bar night. Ramona, Adriana, and Gaurav approach a busy bar. There's an argument between Steve, the tired bouncer, and a drunk bro.
No, bro, you really don't think I'm 21? Look at my beard, dude.
Look, you're not getting in without an ID. All right?
This is some bullshit. Let me in.
The bro tries to push his way inside, but Steve holds him back. The bros cheer him on from the inside. Ramona has no patience for this, because she needs a drink, now.
Get back to the frat house, asshole.
Bitch, stay out of this.
He turns around to face this new opponent, but then he sees the wheelchair. He's dumbfounded.
Look, this is none of your business, all right?
You're keeping the adults from drinking, so go take your natty lights and shotgun them at home.
The bro wants to fight back, but he's got nothing. His friends pull him away, and Steve is relieved.
Thanks for the assist.
It was nothing.
Badass. Let me get you a drink on the house.
You don't have to do that.
Yo, get this girl a drink. Too late.
Ramona smiles and goes inside. Interior bar later. Ramona finishes her whiskey and she looks over to Adriana and Gaurav, both drunk in the photo booth taking pictures. She takes out her phone and starts texting Jeremy, "I'm sorry, but she can't finish it." She throws her phone on the table and Steve sits next to her and puts another shot of whiskey in front of her.
You handled yourself pretty well back there. Do that kind of thing often?
Big fights with bros? I kind of surprised myself with that one.
Well, you've got a good instinct. I just rough him up. It's exhausting. Your way is easier.
At least something good's come from this colossally shitty day.
What's so bad about it?
Well, the only thing worse than getting fired is job hunting.
I feel you. This is kind of weird, but if you need a job, we could use someone like you around here.
Someone like me.
Damn, girl, I didn't mean it like that. You seem cool, and I can pay your minimum wage, check IDs, and kick people out of this bar, so I don't have to.
Ramona doesn't know what to say, so she looks over to Adriana, wasted, making out with Gaurav in the photo booth. A drunk lady starts yelling at the bartender.
What do you mean I'm cut off? You can't cut me off, bitch.
You want to start tonight?
Ramona doesn't know what to say. She looks over to Adriana, wasted and making out with Gaurav in the photo booth.
Fuck it.
She takes a shot, slams it down on the table.
Hey, lady. You heard the man. You're out of here. Don't make me get out of this chair.
Cut to black. End of show. Rusteen, this pilot is so sweet. Like, there's something so warm about the show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Kind of what I'm getting at.
I try to like give everybody like something to look forward to and like try to work towards, because it does get very emotional because they're all like dealing with a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But I think it's like it's about people like coming together and like trying to help each other and it not always working out. So I think that's kind of where that sweetness comes from.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if you watch much network comedy at all, but I really like Mike Schur, who does like Parks and Rec and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and his stuff has such an undertone of sweetness. But you kind of expect that with network comedy. But what's interesting is you've written something kind of more like an edgy cable comedy, more in maybe like the tone of something that would air on HBO or Showtime. But yeah, it's really sweet, even though there's elements of darkness. And I might be being redundant, but as a writer, I'm curious, how do you balance like kind of the more serious emotional stuff, but kind of ground it with almost that network sweetness that I really like about the pilot?
I think you just have to let the characters kind of show it to you, because especially like with Ramona herself, she's so sarcastic and like edgy. It kind of like just the jokes kind of flow right out of her, just her reacting to being put upon by the world around her. So I think it's just a lot of preparing before you go into it. Also, you know, keeping an eye on like where you're going and not getting too bogged down by trying to be one thing.
Of course. And that's, this pilot is so far from being any one thing, and that's why it reads so fresh. You said your girlfriend gave you the idea for the show?
Well, she came to me and told me how like she had read like an article about like a disabled woman. It's just like how she had never seen anything like that on TV. And so I started like kind of looking into it, and I saw a statistic that was like 5% of the roles in like TV and movies are like disabled characters, and then 95% of those are played by able-bodied people, which is like pretty insane if that happened with like any other group of people. And it just kind of stuck in my head, and I was already trying to write about these kind of like job hunting and relationship problems that are very much like current and kind of like a part of like a lot of other big shows out there right now. And this just seemed like a perfect perspective to kind of tackle that from.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was actually going to bring that up. It's infuriating when a white actor is played as a a non-white role, or a straight actor is placed in a gay role, because there are colored actors and gay actors. And I was going to ask you the same thing. There are. Surprise,
Can you
surprise,
believe
Roxy.
it?
I know. Would you want Ramona in this role to go to a genuinely paraplegic actress?
I think that would definitely be a requirement, just because like there's so few opportunities that if I was lucky enough to be able to like pursue this further, that I would have to make the most of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ramona's so central. I mean, obviously this pilot doesn't work if the character of Ramona doesn't work, and she just kicks so much ass.
Yeah, I think it's interesting about her because it's like I was actually laughing out loud, and then you're like, shit, am I allowed to laugh at this person in a wheelchair? And then you're like, of course I'm allowed to laugh at it. Like, but you go through that. How did you make sure that you wrote all of her lines in that respectful manner, where it wasn't like poking fun at her, it was her kind of in on all of it?
A lot of it is just that she's a regular person. She's like, dealing with a lot of the same stuff that any of us are all dealing with. So I kind of started to put that stuff about her being like in a chair, in the back of my mind when writing for her, even though there are a lot of jokes about that. And yeah, it was just about treating her just like you would any other character.
You toed the line perfectly there. It was really great.
Well, and it's so awesome because I feel like I've seen two types of sort of disabled characters portrayed on TV. There's the kind where like people are so piteous of the character and they're like an object of sympathy, and that's kind of a drag. But then there's also the kind where they're like super overachievers and like they defy all expectations. But Ramona's kind of prickly and like sarcastic and doesn't really have her shit together. Which is perfect because she's a character that like is actually interesting. Was that important for you to just kind of like, she's not the most, I mean, I find her incredibly likable, but she's not the most like conventionally likable character in a sense, if you know what I'm getting at.
There's a lot of that around now in terms of like, shows like Girls or You're the Worst or something, where you have these like very complicated people, but they also often like have really high positions of privilege. And so it was really fun to like kind of take this archetype and put it into something that hasn't really been done before.
How did you balance the line when you were writing Ramona about making her sarcasm who she is as a person rather than just a defense mechanism or a coping mechanism because she's in a wheelchair? Because I assume her sarcasm came before she was in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like
I think that is like part of the trope is the sarcastic like disabled person who like their entire identity revolves around this and the people's reaction to it. And I don't know, it's hard to know the answer, like if you are towing the line or not. It was just a lot of research and kind of like listening to people like talk about their own experiences, and you see a lot of that coming up naturally in real life. So a lot of the anecdotes and stories, like the one about where she kicks Jeremy out of the room because he won't stop helping, like that's from like a real story that I heard. And like it kind of shows, I think, those things.
What is your process like for research?
Google is a writer's best friend. Google's everywhere. There's a lot of great vloggers on YouTube also. There's this guy, Dan, who does, what was his name? I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I got it right. It's Just Happened to Be. He's a disabled vlogger, and he did this video about Me Before You, which is the Emilia Clarke paraplegic rom-com that's very bad and ends with him.
Rom-com.
It ends with him committing suicide because he
Yeah.
can't
Spoiler
handle. I'm sorry, but it's an awful movie,
You know,
so I
it
don't
was-
care.
It was horrible and so rude to
Yeah, exactly.
everybody.
I highly recommend anyone watching to check this guy out because he does a great kind of like examination of that. And so there's just a lot of voices out there, and you just need to search them out and listen to them.
Yeah, you could tell they hadn't really spoken to anyone who actually went through that particular disability, because Christopher Reeve a long time ago, he talked about how when it first happened, he had considered committing suicide because he just, you know, he had gone from basically being Superman to not being able to move anything but like I don't even know if he can move his neck. I don't know.
It's
And
terrible.
so, and he talks about going through that, and then how his wife kind of stepped in and kind of like brought him out of that. So that's like I feel like that Me Before You, just to go off on that. It's such a personal thing to talk about for them to not really research what people go through when they like are going through that.
It's dark stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of just because with Ramona, I imagined I wanted to kind of keep her backstory like hidden.
It's not the roller coaster thing. though.
Yeah, no. Just so we're clear
Yeah.
about that. And I think that kind of helps in keeping her like relatable and not becoming too much of a stereotype.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start going into the backstory, it becomes the cliche. It's easy to dive into the cliche of like the sob story or something like that. So.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to make her somebody who wasn't always in a wheelchair?
That was just the avenue I decided to go along. I have like a kind of idea of what happened to her, but it's still kind of, I just preferred that angle as opposed to someone who was born that way. It made it a little easier for me to write just because I was able to kind of think about like, well, how would I feel if like years ago I had this change in my life as opposed to, being born a certain way.
Well, and I mean this as a compliment, Rusteen, but after reading this pilot, I wondered if when you showed up today you might be in a wheelchair, because I think it's such a, to me at least, true empathetic portrayal of what it would be like to, I don't know, so that's a compliment to you as a writer. And yeah, I appreciate that you kind of did research and handled the topic sensitively, but like not with so much sensitivity that it feels like it's this this infotainment piece,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm glad that you did it, but I'm curious to know why you made Ramona a female
what I was
character.
gonna ask.
Yeah, instead of a male character.
This was the first pilot that I ever actually wrote. And so when I went into it, I really wanted to write someone outside of myself. So writing a female protagonist just kind of came with that. And it actually really opened me up to the point where like pretty much all of my pilots now have female protagonists, just because I find it more interesting and it kind of helps me like get out of my head a little bit of like trying to think about how literally I would handle situations. And yeah, it's just more fun for me. I think
That's a good point of view. I like that.
You nailed the female voice. I always
Yeah,
try
it's
not to
perfect.
look at who the writer is before I read it, because sometimes it gives you an idea of what it's going to be or something. But I would have bet that this was a woman writing this.
Oh, thank you.
With the
That's a compliment.
Yeah, I mean that as a compliment. And your male characters were very strong too, so I don't mean it like that, but you nailed it.
Would the goal be, if you were to like, if this were to get like a season 2 or season 3, to kind of, and this sounds weird, but to like normalize the fact that she's disabled, so it's not something where every single episode has to have a commentary on it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like 100% that
Yeah.
would be the goal, because there's so little room for that. There's shows out there like Speechless right now is the biggest show kind of dealing with this stuff, but I'm really much more interested in like kind of tackling like modern issues about like dating and job hunting. Like those are things that are very universal, and having this protagonist is a more interesting way of dealing with that.
Yeah.
You said that you want to talk about like a lot of the issues that are going on in present day. Did you have something written kind of before, like outlined, and then when you thought of Ramona being in a wheelchair, it kind of clicked and made everything work together? Because this week and last week we discussed polyamorous couples, and it was super interesting because it's just normal people going through their life, but through a filter of being polyamorous, through a filter of being in a wheelchair. and it makes everything so much more interesting when it is just because if this was just a story about people, it wouldn't, like normal people, I guess.
Yeah.
Everyday people, it wouldn't be
Able-bodied.
We've just seen hundreds of like comedy or anything that's just like, here's a
same
bunch
thing.
of hot whites or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Like
like, did it all
Fred.
click, or was it like, do you know what
I
I'm
built it all around Ramona.
Okay,
I
so
really
she was the
started with
inspiration.
her, and I tried to think about like what is it about this character that's like drawing me in, and then I kind of built the other supporting characters from her to kind of give her things to contrast with.
Gotcha. Yeah, her and
So-
Adriana's relationship was my favorite.
Who
Yeah.
are the characters?
I love the husband, green card husband.
Me
It's
too.
great.
Yeah.
So funny.
Who are the characters you want to continue to play with?
I think Adriana came up as a much more playful character, like when we were reading
Yeah,
it.
she
Than,
was a bit difficult to pin down because I was like, is she sarcastic? Is she playful?
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
I
so
bet
yeah.
you did a really fun job.
You did a great
thanks,
job
but yeah,
reading
she's-
that
yeah.
because she is like very dour. I mean, I describe her as like a witch at
Yeah.
the beginning,
Yeah.
but then she's still like, I think because she's with Ramona, like by contrast, she becomes the playful one.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and I would love to explore that more. And I also think like Gaurav, their relationship together is like going to be a lot of fun to
Yeah.
see how they handle becoming a married couple after getting married.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do there.
Yeah, it's super. I mean, like, no, sometimes in shows like this, you feel like the central character is like the only thing that really makes the show fun. But I think like I'm actually excited about the will they won't they with Gaurav and
Yes.
and Adriana, and
Yeah.
I just think it's really special what you've written, Rusteen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Especially the scene at the dinner party, or the between Jeremy and Ramona is like very beautifully written. It's like short and sweet and very I guess impactful. It's really
It's a lot of cutting down.
I
There
assume
were a
so.
lot of
Yeah.
monologues and like big chunks of
Yeah.
stuff, and that was part of like getting the right balance of like
Yeah.
fun and emotion, is like finding the right parts to let that dramatic element come up.
Are
And
you
like
someone who overwrites and then cuts a bunch? Because I do
Yeah.
that. I write a bunch of dialogue and I go, let's just take all of it.
I
away."
outline a ton.
Yeah.
I have like 3 notebooks for different parts of my process, and then I'll transfer that into the computer, and then that becomes like a 40-page thing that I like cut down to this.
Yeah, one thing I really like is I think like importantly, Ramona's journey is much less about like her being in a wheelchair than it is about like her kind of like growing up and like learning to like not so much deal with her disability, but like kind of be an adult and like, you know, accept love.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just think like she's a prickly character first and then like someone in a wheelchair second.
Absolutely.
Which is, I
100%.
don't know, I really like it.
That's the angle that like most connected with me as
Yeah.
like someone like, you know, in your like early 20s when I was writing this, and it's just like the whole world's out there, but you kind of have all these excuses for not doing the things that you want to do. And we all have problems in our lives that we use as excuses, and with hers it's just a little more obvious than with other people.
It's really smart.
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you have any questions for us?
I'm curious kind of how you guys felt like playing the characters. I don't get to hear my words read out loud too often, so that I'm more interested in like getting like the flow down of like scenes and dialogue, how you guys felt about that.
I think it was great. We obviously all read it beforehand, but we're all like laughing as we read it now. It's like even funnier to hear it out. It was great. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's really clean and tight, which is really important in these pilots, and like yeah, it just reads really well, and like you want to know more. You really you care about these people, which is it's a lot to do in 30 pages.
Yeah, and this is one of those scripts where we do read a few scripts where the comedy is more physical, so it's a little hard reading it while we're sitting down. But I didn't feel like that in this script. I felt like we were pretty much nailing all of the comedy that was in the lines.
The dialogue.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
good.
yes.
Something
Yeah, you
I-
guys really nailed that.
Something I really liked in the read too, when I read it in my head, it wasn't like this, but I was kind of Team Jeremy in this one. The way that Mike was reading it, like I was like, Ramona, chill a little bit, like you know. And when I was reading it in my head, I was like, screw Jeremy, get out. But like, if he's a good dude, then he's a good dude. And I thought that was cool and interesting when we read it. I also am just like obsessed with Nima because she's like the biggest
Perfect to
bitch,
hate.
but
Yeah.
so not
Difficult for you to get here.
Yeah, like,
so good.
so awful. But I would love her to come back like every so often and just be that person
Yeah.
that you want to sock in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could do a
That
great
so-called
job.
perfect person who
Yeah.
like you're always just not jealous but also like upset at them
Yeah.
for existing.
Yes.
Yeah. I also generally love the librarians for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
I thought those two old people were great.
Yeah, that's one of like the riskier parts, or because I didn't want to go into this making it like a super like PC thing, but also not making it super like raunchy or edgy. So I was trying to find like a good balance, and with them I was just like, I need to address this
Right.
somehow,
Yeah.
and taking it to kind of like this extreme thing where they think they're like being so helpful,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
really it's not helpful at all.
No, I think the way you handle it it's just very like painfully true. Like I think with like people of color, a lot of the times people kind of know to mind their P's and Q's. I mean, except for this year, but when it comes to people who are disabled, a lot of us have like weird little tics about it, or this like desire to be helpful, and we kind of forget that this person is a person.
Yeah.
Like who's just as complicated as we are and goes through things that we go through and doesn't need help for certain things that we don't need help for. So I felt that the way you handled that was just truthful. Like sometimes it is really uncomfortable, you know?
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Like just because there's always different ways to look at things, and especially when you come to this where there's it's kind of like an intersection of a lot of different groups that can happen under disabled people, where you have like minority disabled people and foreign language speaking and whatever. So
Yeah.
it's just that's where the research comes in, and you just have to be open-minded and like be ready to figure out where you got things wrong and make an adjustment. Because the first draft was definitely not this nuanced. It took a while to kind of nail everything down.
Yeah.
Did you, sorry to interrupt, did you ever think about writing, or after this, writing something that tackles other disabilities like blindness?
I would definitely like be interested in that. I've been trying to, in my other pilots, include other disabled people in it as like the side characters and like supporting characters in there, just because that gets into that part of like how there's only 5% of characters. It just because people don't think about it. We always, with Ramona, I did make the disabled character like the main protagonist, but they don't have to be the main protagonist. They could be anywhere else in the world also.
It
so.
would be really interesting to see, though, how Ramona was with a blind person. Like, if she looked at that like a disability and was trying to be helpful in any sort of way or
Yeah,
whatnot. So
like she
how
becomes the condescending one in that
exactly. It would
situation.
be interesting to see that. And I'm shocked to hear you say that 5%. I feel like it's got to be a lot lower than
It might be.
that's-
That was just a
Five
number
is-
I had in my head.
Because back in 2015, I think
I can
black
about-
people are only like 15%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's probably like 1%.
I watch a
Yeah.
lot
I'm
of
probably
television,
wrong.
and I could think of about 2 people in wheelchairs.
I just
Yeah.
keep thinking of Breaking Bad, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, what else?
Yeah.
You
But
know?
actually, he wasn't even like.
But he was not.
He was.
No.
He did have the same
was,
disability.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
he
true.
was.
But it wasn't as.
severe.
That's usually
severe.
what it is. They'll have someone who like is connected to it, but
Yeah.
it's not as severe as they're portraying it.
But
Yeah.
blind so often is played by people with sight or deaf.
Exactly.
Played by hearing people. So.
And
'Cause
in
it's
all
easy.
Fairness,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
all fairness to Hollywood, that is why, because
Yeah.
it's harder for production purposes. But like, fuck that.
Yeah, I mean,
So, like, deal with it.
I was
we
in a-
deal with divas
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
time. Like
yeah.
that's
Right.
hard enough.
Yeah.
I was in a play version of Hardest Lonely Hunter, and they cast the male lead. It's supposed to be deaf, so they cast a deaf person.
Wow.
And yeah, sure. There were sometimes you were like, oh, okay, this takes like a little bit longer, but it really doesn't matter because
Yeah.
it's helpful to have someone who, when they actually do the sign language, they're bringing it from someone who's not learning it as someone who can hear, but someone who really needs it, you know.
Yeah.
And so, it was really enlightening to see like, oh, okay, like there are differences, but it's not so much that it can't be done.
Yeah, you know what costs
Yeah.
more money and takes longer? Gluten-free people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No joke, though.
Yeah. One thing I was about to say.
Yeah,
a
go ahead,
question,
please.
But Andrew always asks, was there anything that you kind of discovered during today's read that either kind of tickled you positively that you didn't expect, or maybe something that you thought, maybe in a final draft I would revise that a little bit?
Like I said before, like that Adriana is like more playful than like I pictured her in my head. That definitely came up. I do still oscillate between am I Team Jeremy or Team Ramona. I think that could be a recurring thing. And also maybe the hand job scene is a little much in the car. I'm still going back and forth.
I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
totally
feels like a
agree.
real
I thought
thing.
it made sense.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a
very real.
blowjob, honestly.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that's where that was going to go.
a car accident.
I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I think a blowjob requires too much work, and she didn't want to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like,
literally
that's
the
why.
shut the F up.
Exactly. She's like annoyed, but not mad.
well, I just figured because she didn't want to talk, so she might as well put her mouth to other use. I don't know. That's where my head was going. I'm just saying, guys. Just saying.
All right.
On that note.
On that note, great.
Well, Rusty, we can't thank you enough. I think this is a really special pilot, and I always say this, but we'll do whatever we can to see if we can make this thing live, because I really want to see this show, and I hate when I use this word, but I do think it's kind of like important, even though I don't want to use that word, but I know that there's a kick-ass actress in a wheelchair who
Yeah.
will just
For sure.
knock this role out of the park.
Who deserves to have
I
a
know.
fucking great role like
Yeah.
this?
And that's not the only
I can
reason,
think of one at
but-
UCB.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's such an exciting opportunity for a new face. Is
Yeah.
how I feel.
I've been exploring the idea of like doing this as a short film
Yeah.
or like extrapolating out of it and
Yeah.
making a new short out of it. So I definitely agree. Like, I think that there's so many talented actresses out there in LA who like could knock any role out of the park.
Yeah.
I would love to give them an opportunity.
And I
Yeah.
can't imagine this would be that expensive to shoot. It's not like
No.
there's explosions or you
You pick good locations too.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
library.
Yeah. And when it does get picked up, don't cave. Like,
No.
stick to your guns
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
really want to see. I just think it would be really nice to. I give more credit to films who take that extra step or extra effort and want to be genuine about a script. So.
I think we forget how like tied to reality filmmaking is. Whenever I like watch things, I always try to like take one step back from the frame
Yeah.
and imagine like what they're doing to like set up these shots and scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really easy for people to just kind of take those shortcuts of just like it'll just be easier if we do it this way or whatever. So it's just about keeping your perspective, I
Yeah.
think.
Absolutely.
In terms of being true to the script, Andrew's actually Indian, just saying.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows.
Yes,
people-
absolutely.
You're gonna have to gain a little weight though.
Yeah, you need to be pudgy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll do it.
that part I can't help you out with.
Yeah. I'm so happy to gain weight for a role.
Well, Rusty, thanks again for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
If executives, want to snatch this thing up, where's the best place to kind of reach you?
I'm on Twitter at RusteenH and Facebook. I don't have a website yet, but I'm working on that.
And just so those who are listening can hear how it's spelled, it's pretty phonetic, but Rusteen is Rusteen. Honardoost is Honardoost. I can't imagine there are that many Rusteen Honardoost.
No, if you
Sounds pretty
Google
awesome,
me,
man.
it comes
It's
up
you.
with
It's
only
you.
my stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was so much fun.
Good. Guys, this has been the Unproduced Table Read here on the Popcorn Talk Network. If you like today's episode, we read a feature a month ago called Six-Letter Word that I think equally tackles disability in a very nuanced way and features a disabled character, and that's not the thing about the character. So I'd recommend that episode. In terms of the comedy, I'd recommend... I think that's your best bet. Check out.
Oh, that was a great one.
Yeah, it's a fun one. And guys, my name is Jeff Graham. If you want to find me online, you can do so at Jeffrey C. Graham. Just so you all know, these scripts came to us heavily discounted from right down the road at ARA Printing in Burbank on Magnolia Boulevard. Rusteen, are you in this part of town? Or?
I'm in East Hollywood, right next to the Big Blue Church of Scientology.
yeah.
Oh, right
Lucky
by
you.
UCB, too.
Yeah,
It's a fun part of
exactly.
It's
town.
worth driving all the way here for these. No
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
No
It's
doubt.
Very
these are
affordable.
already this is already the cheapest print shop in town. They're fast, they're immediate, and if you go with the promo code Table Read, you'll get 10% off your order. So that's ARA Printing in Burbank on Magnolia Boulevard.
We
Thanks
love
for
them.
being here, guys. Next week we're reading a feature actually about a kind of quirky female corrections officer who decides to campaign for the innocence of one of her prisoners. So it's a really great script. And we're actually bringing in a special actress from Indiana who wanted to come on the show and is a theater professor. It's going to be a cool show.
Is it her script?
No, it's not her script,
Oh,
actually.
she's coming in.
She's just coming
Got
in,
it.
yeah. So tune in for that. And after that, we have another kind of special show that I'm excited about. So a lot of excitement coming up. For the rest of you guys, where can they find you online?
You can find me everywhere at Mike Kalinowski.
I'm Haley O'Connor. That is Haley with 2 Y's. If you don't use 2 Y's, you're not 2 Y's. And that is Haley O'Connor on Twitter.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. It's MSEDRINSNOW. And you can also see me for the Outlander After Show and AfterBuzz on Sundays.
Hey guys, you can find me at Andrew Guy on Instagram and Twitter.
Timothy Michael here. Find me everywhere at I am Timothy Mike. All my shows are back. Find what I'm doing out there.
Roxy Stryer. You can find me everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
And Rusteen, thanks once again. That's Rusteen Honardoost, who we had today. Honardoost, I apologize.
Okay. Almost made it
So
through
the whole
episode.
time,
I
Jen.
know.
Literally the whole time.
Guys, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.